I know that many of you have listened to my tape. Many of you have handed it out to dozens of people, and I really appreciate that. There's a lot of people, obviously, that would never come to a conference and wouldn't hear it otherwise, except for the fact that they met you in the grocery line or dry cleaning store, wherever they meet you, and you pull out a tape and hand it to them. But someday I'll have to give a talk on the stories I've heard about the effect of this tape on different people, because they're just great fun to hear how they've affected different people. I just heard someone tell me that she was dealing with a couple who received it as a gag gift for a wedding present. Right? A gag, my tape, my brilliance as a gag gift, but it converted them from contracepting to NFP. So, anyway, as you know, this tape called Contraception, Why Not? A couple years ago, I was with one of my 8-year-old godsons, Max. He told me that whenever he misses me, he watches my video, which is also called Contraception, Why Not? And he said, you know that video of yours? He says, I think it's called Contractions, Why Not? So you know an 8-year-old who is the oldest of 5 has never heard of contraception, but he can tell you what contractions 5 minutes apart and 3 minutes apart mean. A couple years ago, I was at a conference in the Trinidad, gave a couple days of conferences, and the first question I got really threw me for a loop. It was about a national problem in Trinidad, and I was asked, did I think rapists should be castrated? And oh my gosh, I don't know how to answer that question. I said, obviously it's a terrible crime, it deserves a severe penalty, but that's permanent, it's mutilation. I really don't know what to think. I have heard there's drugs that can reduce the sexual desire. Maybe those should be explored. So the next day I'm leaving Trinidad, 6:30 in the morning, airport, buying a cigar for a friend. I look down, I see the national newspaper of Trinidad. 2-inch high headline says, castrate rapists. Subheading says, U.S. professor recommends chemical castration of rapists. And I stand there and I think to myself, I wonder if there were any other U.S. professors in Trinidad this weekend. So I want you to know you can look forward to my 3-part series of tapes. Contraception, why not? Contractions, why not? Castration, why not? I dare you to tell that one, Mary Beth. I dare you. All right. As you know, my talk today is on the differences between natural family planning and contraception. And as many of you know, I mean, natural family planning, a lot of people still confuse that. Doctors confuse it. Experts confuse it with rhythm. They've never heard of NFP or natural family planning. Those who have heard of it think it means different things. NFP to some people means not for Protestants. Some people who don't like natural family planning say that they think no one should use it, they should just let the babies come. They think NFP means no faith in providence. You know those people, providentialists, they're very nice people. Others think it means no fun periodically, right? So there's a lot of misconceptions we have to clear up here on each one of those possible understandings of NFP. There's a number of people, of course, that once they hear the arguments against contraception, or when they're trying to just dismiss NFP, they say it's no different from contraception. That people who are using natural family planning are doing the same thing as individuals who are contracepting. After all, you have 2 couples who are wanting to have sexual intercourse without having a child, without having a pregnancy. They want to have baby-free sex, pregnancy-free sex. They think they're doing the same thing. And I want to say that they're radically different. Right? They're not just superficially different or different in some small technical way, but they're really radically different. And the first, I mean, you do have to see, you could have 2 couples, identical situations. Let's say they both have 3 children under 4 or 5, and the woman's exhausted, the man is concerned about finances, maybe he's exhausted too, and they both decide that it's time to limit their family size for a period of time. One couple uses contraception, one couple uses natural family planning. People want to say, well, they're doing the same thing. They're limiting their family size, they're just choosing a different means of doing so. And I always want to say to people, well, if they're not doing anything different, why not use natural family planning? And of course then they go, well, that'd be totally different. That's I say, that would require an incredible change in my life. I'd have to change everything. I mean, my understanding of sexual intercourse, my relationship to my spouse, my relationship to God, my sexual self-control, everything would change. You say, well, no, if they're exactly the same, it shouldn't require that huge difference. Anything that requires a lifestyle change like that clearly, most likely, has an incredible different moral aspect to it. So just first to see that when they say it's the same, they really don't think it's the same. They think it's incredibly different, but they want to say the moral difference is, there's no moral difference between the two of them. Now, first of all, you always want to point out to people that just because people have the same goals, the same ends of their action, you can have these two couples both wanting to limit their family size. See, the end can be moral. It can be moral to say that right now we have enough children, the number of children we can handle. Another child might be really pressing our capacity here. And I'll talk about reasons for using natural family planning later. But you have the same goal, but you have to choose, in morality, you have to choose moral means to your end as well as having a moral end. For instance, you have two individuals who want to support their family. Right? That's a good thing. One can rob a bank, and one can get a job. You want to say they're both doing the same thing. They're both supporting their families, but they have to you have to choose a moral means to the end of supporting your family. So you've heard a lot today about the immorality of contraception, and certainly I'll be talking about that somewhat indirectly. Here I more want to talk about the morality of natural family planning. But when people say that they're hesitant to try natural family planning, one of their first reasons is they think it doesn't work. Right? They think it doesn't work. And one of the reasons they think it doesn't work, that those couples who are promoting natural family planning generally have, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 children, and they see this and they can't believe that anybody might want that number of children. So they think that this is just a failure of natural family planning, that people have such large families. Our culture is generally very, they have a great antipathy to large families. You're considered, as you know, you're considered to be out of control, irresponsible, and self-indulgent if you have a large family. You used to be considered selfless, generous, hardworking, right? But now you're considered to be self-indulgent, irresponsible, etc. for having a large family. I'm sure that anyone who has more than 3 children has been insulted in some way. Are these all yours? Or don't you and your husband know how to control yourselves? Or don't you care about the environment? I met a man, one man came up to me after one of my talks, his father of 17, and he came up and he said to me, he said, I get this all the time. People say I must be a sexual monster. And he says, believe me, he says, there's no married man who has sex less often than the father of 17. Okay?